Before we get this thing started, let me tell you guys a little bit about Metafy. Metafy is a site that helps you get better at the games that you love and kick more ass. They have coaches from around the world that will help you get on a top level to where you can finally learn to stop getting bodied by all these kids online. If you want to learn things like CSGO, League of Legends, Smash, other fighting games, it's all there. They have plenty of amazing options for you to pick from, including me for Smash. So if you guys are interested in getting coached by me, please go at my link down below and we'll get something set up. Hello everyone, my name is RonanX and today I am bringing you yet another Ryu guide. This guide is going to be mostly focusing on how to maintain your advantage state and how to properly wall out your opponent. With that out the way, let's go and get right into it, talking about how to maintain the corner. So, one of the most important things to knowing how to wall your opponent out is simply knowing how to use Nair and Fair as a walling tool. A lot of Shoto players, they always feel that whenever they're using their aerials, they have to do it from either advancing or like fading back. Not a lot of them will actually stand in place and simply wall out with things like Nair and Fair, because there's a lot of different ways you can mix this. You can do fast fall Nair, fast fall Fair, and then like if you see that they're trying to do like set up for something like a jump in punish, like let's say a Chrom trying to jump in Fair or a Shoto jump in Nair or a dash attack attempt, the great thing about this is if you jump straight up over them and they whiff, you'll be able to land right on top of them and immediately get a bread and butter. Or if you get Sour Fair, you will immediately get a Sour Fair combo, which can lead into a lot of damage. When you are in this range, it's really important to understand that Fireball is not strong here. Like, if you see that they're clearly trying to like force their way in on the ground or anything like that, it's normally more optimal to use your ground buttons, like walking, full hop Fair, full hop fast fall Nair, walking back and stuff like that, because once you commit to the Hadouken, if they are just going to commit to a jump in, you're going to get opened up. So to cover more options and to get better punishes in general, honestly, it's best to use your movement for things like walk back, forward tilt, like dash back, down smash, whatever, you know, whatever the situation needs. But one thing that I like to do a lot when I'm sitting here walling with Nair and stuff like this, like a lot of times what my opponent would like to do is if they see this pattern, is they'll try to go high and try to hit me, like let's say a Lucina trying to jump up there and Fair me or something like that. So one thing you can do is you can always mix it up between full hop Fair, full hop Nair, and then also do full hop focus, short hop back, set up Shaku hover, and use it as an approach. A really important button I don't like seeing people forget about is definitely roundhouse. Because the thing is about roundhouse is whenever you pair it with F-tilt and you're spacing in place with it, it covers the main range that a lot of characters like to occupy in neutral. Which is like, you know, your characters that are super short hop heavy, like, you know, your Jokers, your Wolves, and many, many other characters. These buttons right here are really great for just simply slapping them away. We all know that F-tilt's great, but roundhouse is also very solid for just as a get-off-me tool whenever someone's constantly occupying that space. Whenever you pair it with things like up-tilt, F-tilt, roundhouse, it's just really good for covering that. Another thing is whenever you pair it with like things like walling out, like you can do things like, okay, I see my opponent is constantly like short hopping in and trying to find his way around me. So what I can do is be like, okay, I'm sitting here spacing in place. I'm gonna like wall with simply sit here, be like, okay, here's my Fair. Oh, there's the jump in. Backdash roundhouse, and now you slap them away. Now you set up zoning pressure and you're just in a good position. Another thing that I really want you guys to understand about Shaku hover is it's best to space it whenever you are walling out by jumping back a little bit. A lot of players, whenever they do Shaku hover, they'll shock you in place like this, right? You don't want that. You want to establish like how your opponent wants to get out of the corner. They see you walling in place, they want to go high and try to challenge you. You can do the focus thing, dash back, and then set up Shaku hover. I was a little bit high when I set that one, but if you get it low enough, like so, you can even set up things like dash walk approaches as well. So you have to know when you can switch gears from, you know, just simply walling your opponent to putting on pressure. Because the thing is everyone thinks that Ryu is solely defense-based, and that is not true. You play defensive until you get your opponent to play defensive, and then it gives you an opportunity to set up on them. And one thing that's really great for setting up when your opponent's playing overly defensive is Shaku hover, because it gives you so many different ways of setting up safe approach options. You have things like our back air. You have things like that, like dash, walk forward, down smash, focus, because like that's safe, pretty safe on block, because you can end up canceling back, and then if you hit him with Shaku again, like depending on the character's shield, you can even set up shield pokes, and it just gives you so much extra damage, and it puts the anxiety on your opponent to make them have to do something. So now they're playing their game and coming to you and trying to force their way through you. Another common misconception that a lot of people have about Ryu is he's not really good at covering high above his head because he doesn't have the anti-air game of Ken, because he doesn't have the anti-air Shoryuken, which is the farthest thing from the truth, because he has something that, in my opinion, is pretty good, but not as good because it doesn't kill, but still very good, and that's his Nair, and it's his instant double jump Nair. This right here. When I do this, the Nair is super disjointed and stays out forever. A lot of characters that constantly want to mash, like double jump off of the ledge, whether it's a Zero Suit player or whatever, if you just simply like stand back at roll distance and set this up, a lot of times you'll be able to cover them from being able to just force their way center stage, which is always what you're trying to focus on covering, is just not letting your opponent get center stage for free. If they do end up getting past you, you want to make sure that you're taking control of center stage so they have to go to the other corner. So whenever you see that your opponent has that habit, you can always do things like double jump Nair, and even if they don't, you can even like time a well-timed Shaku hover before you land and be able to set up if they do things like neutral get up, do roll, or if they do things like get up attack, that'll even catch them there, and you can set up combos from that as well. Your overall objective when you have your opponent in the corner is obviously to keep them there and maintain center stage like I've stated before. But how do we do this optimally without having to always be like the first one to move? Because here's the thing. If your opponent is good at using visual cues as their opportunity to set up whip punishes on you, if they see you sitting here mashing fair and stuff like this, a lot of times they can just go up high and try to punish you. But if you mix it up with focus, it kind of makes them hesitant to do that because of different ways you can punish them, right? So if you are dealing with someone who's pretty good at doing this, you have to know how to abuse positional pressure to get your opponent to act first. I've talked about positional pressure through a lot of my guides, but I'm going to give a brief summary of it one more time. It is pretty much when you abuse the range that your opponent can and cannot react. And the way you measure that is based off of your opponent's best burst options in neutral. So, in the Ken Ryu matchup, that would be things like short hop Nair, short hop back air, pivot cancel forward tilt, like dash walk hard down tilt, dash walk hard up tilt, things like that. So that range would be around here, okay? So, what I would be doing is doing things like walking in and out of this range, set up things like fast Hadouken, because Hadouken is safe from this range. I can just throw out a Hadouken really quick, set up some free pokes, kind of see how he wants to deal with that, and then just kind of see how he wants to, work around the Hadouken pressure, which is normally he's going to want to do things like jump over it, which then that's whenever I'm going to be like, okay, as soon as I see that I've conditioned him to jump in, that's whenever I can start going and be like, okay, he's going to land right here because I know the angles of where Nair comes in at, and I can land on top of him fair, get sour fair, and get combos from that, or Nair and immediately shove him back to the corner, immediately get my reset. Or I could do something like that, like walk back forward tilt, catch him on landing there, and get like, an up air ladder, short hop Nair into like proximity forward tilt and get combos from that. There's a whole lot of ways I can condition my opponent to come in first when I play this way, because I'm pressuring him without necessarily having to push a button. Abusing your opponent's fear and anxiety is key with both Shotos, and honestly Terry too. So this is just good notes to use all around. One thing that I do want to talk about whenever it comes to Ryu's advantage state is definitely the importance of confirming into Shaku instead of Tatsu at lower percents, especially whenever you already have center stage and you're pushing them through the corner, because there's so many different ways you can cover multiple options because of the inability to be able to tech roll away for Ken. So if I set up something like down tilt hard down tilt Shaku and I set up focus right here, what happens is if they do neutral get up attack, they get hit. They tech in place, and I hit the, if I do Descending Dragon on their on block, if you remember my my focus cancel, my aerial focus cancel guide I posted a while back, that's plus on block can lead into shield breaks or shield pokes, and again, could kill them. If they tech roll in, I can turn my focus around, and again, they get hit. So, if I set this up in the corner, and I position myself properly with focus, I am almost guaranteed a reset because of the lack of options that Ken has. The way I was doing the focus confirms from the tech chase was from doing dash walk, short hop, focus. I talked about this a little bit in my focus guide for Ryu. I forget which guide it was, but I do believe I talked about this before. Pretty much what you do is you dash walk and you short hop, because what happens when you dash walk and short hop is it carries more momentum forward, right? Which, whenever you do this with focus, it naturally makes it to where focus will travel a little bit farther whenever you set up with tech chases, which just positions you better to get on top of your opponent faster. But the thing is, not all this has to be super complicated when you set them in the corner. When you have them to a certain percent, like around like 110 depending on rage, you can just do things simply as like empty hard down tilt. And I'll send them a tech chase here as well. And instead of like doing the short hop focus thing, I mean, you still can, that's still applicable here. But if you just want something simple, you can just do something like, and then like, you know, wait to see where they're going to tech. And then if you want to, this could be a situation where you could set up tatsu. Tatsu would cover all options and can sometimes even kill. Tatsu for Ryu specifically is very good when you set up in tech chases at higher percents, because it's gonna, if you set them at a low enough angle, it's gonna cover all options. So you're pretty much guaranteed to get the stock. If the focus stuff is a little bit too much for you at the start, you can just simply focus on positioning yourself when you set up a tech chase in the corner. Make sure you're just standing outside of the range of their get up attack, and you can still dash walk. So what I do here is I'll do something like down tilt, hard down tilt, shaku, dash walk right here, and if they tech roll in, I can immediately get my reset, and I dash walk again, and I can reset the whole thing over and over again depending on where they tech, okay? So the bread and butter for whenever you are ever opening someone up should always be like shakinetsu into dash walking at low percent, because it'll always position you best to find your resets. I also want to take a moment to talk about some safe pokes in the corner that I go for a lot, that a lot of times invokes an aggressive response from my opponent to try to force their way out of the corner, and that's a lot of my dash walk pokes that I like. Mainly things like dash walk, hard up tilt, into focus, because as you can see there, that did a good amount of shield damage, and it was pretty damn safe, because I'm not aiming for Ken's model, I'm aiming for the outside of the bubble of his shield. Because when I do this and I focus cancel back, if I set up shaku hover and stuff like this, or like or if I set up like a slow shaku like that, it's like whittling down on a shield little by little. One thing I like to do a lot is, like, if I have them in the corner, I'll do something like dash walk focus, short hop back, set up shaku hover, and now if they shield it again, I can even set up things like shield breaks and stuff like that. Okay, so like they are not allowed to play overly defensive in the corner now. So I can set up shaku hover there, or I can set up the wall, whatever I prefer. But it's always important to remember those safe pokes. Another thing you can do also is, like, you don't even have to do it that way. You can do something as simple as like dash forward down smash and do the same thing. Because down smash actually has the most range out of all of our ground buttons that are actually safe, that can be special canceled outside of, like, well, actually that can be special canceled and are still safe. I said it correctly. So like I can do some things like that, set up back here, set up shaku hover, and just dash back in, put on more pressure with like things like F tilt, whatever. The inputs for dash walk hard up tilt is just holding forward on the analog stick and holding up on the C stick at the exact same time. If you do not maintain holding forward on the analog stick, you won't slide as far. Okay? Same thing for hard down tilt. You hold down on the C stick and hold forward on the C stick, and then hold down on the C stick and hit forward on the analog stick at the exact same time. And allows you to special cancel it. However, this is not as safe as hard up tilt or down smash on block when you special cancel into focus. One super underrated approach that a lot of Shoto players, mostly mid-level Shoto players, struggle with is short hop fastball back air, right? This right here, because they struggle with rawring. So the thing is, you guys gotta understand for this is I have a shortcut method that helps me a lot. Think of shakinetsu as the input that you need to be going for, except in reverse. So instead of half circle forward, you'd be doing half circle back, okay? So you input dash and half circle back, and as you can see, you'll start short hopping and reversing in place when you start doing this. If you hit, as soon as you do this and you hit down, you'll see the little spark and you'll start fast falling, right? So as soon as you see that you start getting consistent RARs, start hitting down, and you'll see that you're getting a little spark, you're getting the fast fall. After you get that, you hit back on the C stick, and you'll start getting consistent RAR back airs. So you can set up things like this, and then like immediately approach behind it with back air. And you can even set up shield pokes. Yeah, knowing how to use RAR back air is super important with Ryu. So let's continue. So we've talked a lot about how to like pressure in the corner, how to wall out whenever your opponent's in the corner, how to, you know, just kind of maintain the space and control center stage. It's been main focus so far. But let's talk about what happens when you actually get them to ledge, when they're having to hold ledge. I want to talk about a really cool option select with tatsu trumping. So a while back I made a guide about like how to kara tatsu and like trump ledge. That is still the more optimal way of doing this tech, but you can just simply run off and tatsu ledge and still get a lot out of it, and a lot of times when I use this against very good players, it still works very well. So essentially all you have to do to tatsu trump is you run off and you immediately tatsu the ledge, right? But here's the thing that I like to do, and I pretty much do this every time when I do this, is I like to buffer roll. Now why? Why buffer roll every time? If your opponent buffers roll with you, you have a frame 2 down tilt, and the majority of interactions you're going to win if you mash out down tilt on roll if they roll with you. If they decide to buffer jump and go high, I'm already at roll distance to maintain center stage, and I can immediately go back to the game plans that we've talked about before in this guide already. Double jump nair, short hop back, and be like, control center stage. Are you gonna drift towards me and challenge me for center stage? You're gonna go to the corner, you know, that kind of shit situation. If they do neutral get up, I'm at roll distance again, so again, I can put on the pressure, okay? And if I get the trump because they didn't buffer their options, because all these things I'm talking about right now only works if they buffer an option because they have iframes that can be used, I can immediately get things like trump back air, and now I can get a free stock. So it has a lot of potential to just give you free stocks, and it's a good mind game to where your opponent is not just comfortable constantly holding ledge. So once you have the threat of tatsu trumping, you add extra layers to your option coverage whenever it comes to controlling the corner when you have your opponent holding ledge. Obviously, what you need to do to maintain, like, you know, ledge trap situations is play reactionary through anticipation of what your opponent's options are based off of where you're positioned. So if I'm standing at roll distance and my opponent is holding ledge, what I can do is immediately be like, okay, if he decides to double jump here, I'm going to be able to react and double jump nair and wall him out. If he does neutral get up, I can dash forward and I can down tilt on a reaction. If he does get up attack, same thing, but I'm away from him, so he's not going to go on a get up attack. And you also want to be thinking about your opponent's best reversal options. So like if I'm standing at roll distance, let's say I'm dealing with a Rob, what is the hardest thing for me to react to for where I'm positioned? Well, would be if Rob would be like, okay, I can just jump off the ledge and top because he can't really react to top from this range. So what I can do here is if I'm standing at roll distance, I'm already thinking about that option because I know that that's the most susceptible option to be thrown out because that's the range I'm in. So I can do things like, okay, I'm standing right here. I know that more than likely he's going to throw top. So if I get the call out on like short hopping over that and nairing him, now Rob has no jump. Now I can take advantage of that. And this is not just Rob thing. This is any character that has a projectile off ledge, including Shotos, including characters like Yoshi. You get what I'm saying. So like if you understand this, you are automatically going to be standing at this range and already baiting that. You can be things like holding in shield, wait for it to hit you on block, grab the item. Now their double jump is burnt. Now you can throw it back at them. Diddy Kongs do this a lot. You see this kind of stuff with Links, and this will help you a lot to understand how to not get hit with reversals when you're standing at roll distance. I know this is a problem that a lot of you have and has been brought to me, so this is the way you have to deal with it. Now let's take a minute and talk about edge guarding, or at least putting on pressure to make your opponent like burn resources. So a lot of people don't think that we're good at edge guarding, which we're not amazing at it, but we do have options. One thing that I like to do a lot is like if I have my opponent like pretty far out off stage, I can go off stage after them a lot of times and stall with Hadouken and possibly get nair gimps. So like I can use things like set this up, go out here, stall with Hadouken, and then jump and nair and immediately get a gimp like that. So you go off stage and you stall with Hadouken, and then if they decide to go low, you can set that up. And the thing is, Ryu's nair is so disjointed, a lot of times it might, like, at the very worst situation, it might trade. Whenever you are going for these edge guards, it's really important to know that you want to be floating around this range here, right? You're not really someone who goes really deep, obviously. What you want to be focusing on is being like, okay, I'm going to set this up, go for a poke here, reset ledge, and then if he tries to like snap ledge or anything like this, I can do things like let go and back air, or I can even do things like jump and nair stall here. Because like if you actually manage to connect the nair, you can cancel into focus or just sure you can grab ledge again, and then you can reset the whole situation again and just harass them at ledge. So one thing that's super important whenever you have your opponent in the corner or holding ledge is feigning. Whether they're holding ledge or whether they are just in the corner. And raw feigning is one thing I like doing a lot. I'll do things like act like I'm going to like commit to a raw back air and jump at them like this, and I can't tell you how many times they'll like do something like buffer roll and give me free shit, okay? Or they'll buffer full hop and try to jump over me, and now I'll be like, okay, I've got them to burn their jump, and now I'm back to center stage. Are you going to challenge me for center stage and try to land on top of me? Which if you do, I have hard up tilt, I have parry, I have out of shield shoryuken, I have short hop up air. Any of these options, I can simply slap them away. I have backdash roundhouse as well. Or are you going to go to the corner? Which if they go to the corner, we reset the whole situation again whenever it comes to maintaining your corner pressure. Now, whenever they are holding ledge, one thing I like to do a lot is I'll simply do something like dip my toes off and then jump back to roll distance. This right here. It looks super simple, right? But I can't tell you how important it is to be able to set this up to bait your opponent. Because a lot of times, they'll either, like when they see you do this kind of stuff, they're like, oh, he's going to edge guard me. Oh, he's going to ledge trump me. Oh, he's going to do something like this. Especially when you've already been conditioning them with tatsu ledge trumping. It's going to get them to be like, oh, I better buffer roll now. And as soon as they do, you're going to be standing at roll distance. And here's another thing, is even if they don't buffer roll, if they buffer jump, same thing, you're back at roll distance, and you can just option select to go in high with an up air, double jump nair, whatever you prefer. Even a raw back air if you are feeling ballsy and you know that, you know, this is what they're doing in this position. You have a clear call out because you have a clear pattern, you have a clear pattern that you have recognized. Everything you do when you are holding a favorable position against your opponent should be to invoke a response so that you can whittle down their resources to be able to get out of disadvantage. Your job is option coverage. Your opponent's job is to try to figure out their way out of this shit position. If you overcommit and always act first when you are in these positions, you are constantly running the risk of getting eaten up by reversals and be switching spots with your opponent. And I guarantee you, characters with better advantage states than us that kind of get free shit like Palatine and stuff like this won't give you those freebies like you would be giving them. Act second, throw out feints and shit like that until you get your opponent to start showing clear patterns, and then you can start making your callouts. Now, with that out the way, let's go ahead and talk about how to deal with your opponent when they're above your head. The key to dealing with your opponent when they're above your head is resource management. How does your opponent like to land? And a lot of times you can figure this out based off of where they are drifting and how much they are respecting you. How to tell if someone's not respecting you is when you're dealing with someone like let's say a Ganondorf or something like that. When you instantly like do something like a Shoryuken combo and they fast fall nair or something like that on top of you. That is a clear sign that your opponent doesn't respect you, because you know that you have clear options to beat that if you just hold your position. You have hard up tilt, parry, out of shield Shoryuken, all those anti-air options, okay? But whenever you consistently start to punish them with these anti-air options, they will start going to the corner more often than not, which is what we ultimately want to do. We want to make them respect us when we're holding center stage. How do we do that? Simple. You know how to option select based off of where your opponent is air drifting and when you can get them to burn certain resources. So going back to feigning like we were talking about in the corner, when I have my opponent up in the air, I'll do things like short hopping like that, like a short hop feint, just something as simple as that. Because it's going to invoke a response. It'd be like, oh, he's going to try to come up here and challenge me. So if it's a character that has high priority aerials, like a sword character, it'd be like, oh, he's going to come up in the air and challenge me? Great, I'm going to fast fall and throw out something super disjointed. Because that's an easy, response to guess that they're going to do, because they know it's going to beat whatever you throw out. So then you can be like, okay, short hop, now I'm going to hard up tilt. Or a short hop, now I'm going to buffer parry because he's going to fast fall aerial on me. And then you can immediately get your reset from that. And it'll shake the shit out of your opponent, because then they'll be like, okay, I can't do that anymore. Time to do something different. When that double jump of theirs is gone, you have to be aware of, like, if I just simply checkmate them on landing, I'm going to get a guaranteed punish every single time. So it's honestly, you've got to be asking yourself this every single time you have your opponent above you. Are they challenging me for center stage? Or are they going to go to the corner? Do they have their double jump? No. Okay, if they don't have their double jump, all they have is neutral air dodge away, air dodge in, and attack. If I stand right here in place, I will cover all of those options on reaction because I am reacting through anticipation. What I mean by reacting through anticipation is whenever you already have a picture in your mind of your opponent's options, and it makes it easier for whenever they appear on screen to react. Also through audio cues as well, because you can hear their double jump, you can hear the startup of certain reversal options like Ken and Ryu focus, or a Link player doing something like double jump, burning their double jump and plucking the bomb. You know what I mean? Things like that. Once they've committed to where they're drifting, like let's use the Link analogy, they could be like, okay, now that I'm drifting this way and I burn my double jump, he's more than likely going to throw bomb forward because he's drifting towards the corner. So, knowing that he has no resources to burn here outside of throwing his projectile, it is safe to assume that if I full hop in when they're here, I can checkmate him on landing. Now let's talk about how to deal with platform stages like Battlefield. A lot of people feel like this stage is not actually good because of getting circle camps and stuff like this, but honestly, if you know how to utilize the platforms in your favor, it is not the case. One thing that's super important that is knowing how to safely pressure someone's shield when they are on platforms. Easy one that a lot of people know is you can't just simply set up things like Shaku Hover and Pokemon on when they're on platforms like this and maintain center stage all the same as you normally do. Okay? Another one that I like to do a lot is I like to also poke with things like focus as well. Like if I have my opponent on the ledge here, because as you can see here when I do this, the great thing about this setup right here is I put on safe pressure, and one of the most common responses that you get out of your opponent when you set these kind of things up is they like to like run off fair or run off aerial a lot of times, which is what you're constantly baiting when you're controlling this space, right? You want them to try to force a reversal on you because they're always looking for that. So if they do it, now they're going to get hit with focus 2, and now they're going to get rocked for like 50 plus damage or get laddered. An easier version of this would be like things like Nair and focusing back like this. Because you can also set up things like, okay, I can do something like full hop Nair and then cancel the focus. Whoops. And if they do like an out of shield option that's like a fair or any kind of single hit move, you can immediately like, you know, just take the hit and just cancel back. And then if they stay on the platform, platform here, I can still maintain my pressure. You can do the same thing with fair too. I can do full hop fair as well and still make it safe. And because you can see how much shield damage that does, it will give me the opportunity to also set up shield pokes. Or I can just break their shield altogether if they want to sit there and hold it. Even like one fair into Shaku, right? Like as you guys can see there, that was slow Shaku. Can even set up shield pokes or shield breaks. So they're not going to be really allowed to sit on platforms for very long. So one thing that a lot of people don't know about whenever someone's sitting on shield on the top platform, if you instant double jump Nair, you can actually immediately fast fall and like get like the safe frames of Nair, where it's like -1. And sometimes you even like poke their feet like you just saw there too. Another one you can do is like I like to sometimes like double jump focus and hit them on block, because again, if you do this and cancel instantly whenever you hit them, you get the plus frames like what I said with the aerial focus cancel stuff in my past guides. So that's also super good whenever your opponent wants to sit up on top of the platform and shield. But what if they're not just sitting up there and shielding, right? What if they're like jumping around and shit? Well, one thing I like to do a lot of times is I'll just jump on a side platform here. Because if they decide to go to that platform over there, I can hit them with Hadouken and pressure them from here. And at the same time, if they I can like sit here and be like, okay, if wherever you're wanting to land, I've got this part of the map over here controlled. I have double jump Nair, I have short hop up air. If you want to land on the platforms, I can sit here and just pressure with Shaku, because Shaku is just really great for shield pressuring whenever they're on platforms, because of how well Shaku does damage and just fucking destroys shields in general. So it just makes it really easy for me to kind of maintain this whenever someone decides they want to like platform camp me. If you do manage to land a nair on block or anything that's safe on block, when you hit them on block, you got to be thinking about the main options you're trying to cover out of shield that you can cover out of shield. This is not going to be including characters with good up Bs out of shield yet, but we're going to talk about characters that their main out of shield option is jump. We're talking like your Palutinas and your Wolves. Remember, when you land nair on block, to up tilt, okay? Because when you up tilt, it's going to make it to where they're not going to be able to jump. If they do have a good up B out of shield, and you know that they're gonna they're trying to fish to kill you off the top with it, and that's not a multi-hit, you can always do things like double jump nair and cancel in the focus, and make immediately focus cancel back, because once they whiff that, now you can set up a combo on the top platform and potentially just kill them. And that'll be the end of this guide. Hopefully this helps you guys, master your Vantage State with Ryu a little bit better than what you guys have already been doing. I don't really know when the next guide for the Shotos or Terry will be, but I hope you guys are looking forward to the more content that I will be bringing. Probably more Yuzu first to 10s and stuff like that. By the way, if you want to see a lot of the concepts of what I've just told you in this guide, please go and watch my first to 10 with Avocado. A lot of the stuff I talked about in this guide, I used in that first to 10, and would be very educational for the people who are trying to get better at maintaining Vantage State whenever it comes to being camped, whenever it comes to just just not constantly getting hit with reversals, shit like that. So hopefully that helps you guys. I'm Ronan X, and I will see you next time. Peace.